Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Easy Chat English podcast. I'm Amelia.
And I'm Ethan. Today we're going to talk about something super helpful for those of you learning English. How to think in English while speaking it.
That's right. Thinking in English instead of translating from your native language can really speed up your fluency. When I started learning English, I struggled with always translating back and forth. It made everything feel so slow.
Same here. But when I started practicing thinking directly in English, I felt a big difference. It made speaking feel so much more natural, and I was able to express myself more freely. We'll share some of those strategies with you today, so let's get started.
So, the first strategy is to start with simple vocabulary. When you're learning a new language, it's tempting to try to memorize complex words. But honestly, it's way more effective to start with the basics.
Exactly. Think about everyday words. Things you see and use all the time, like apple, a book, or chair. Instead of translating them from your native language, try to picture the object and then think of the English word.
Right, like when you think of an apple, imagine that red or green fruit and just say apple in your mind. This way, you're making a direct connection between the word and the object, not through your native language.
I remember when I first started learning, I used to walk around my house and name everything in English. It was simple, but it really helped me. So, if you're a beginner, try to do this with everyday items you see around you.
And it's okay if you make mistakes or don't remember every word at first. The key is to keep it simple and be patient with yourself.
Our second tip is to use an English dictionary. I know it can sound intimidating at first, but it really helps you think in English.
Yeah, instead of looking up a word in your language, try to find an explanation in English. For example, if you look up the word happy, you might see feeling or showing pleasure or contentment. This way, you're learning the meaning directly in English.
Exactly. And it helps you understand the different ways a word can be used. Plus, you might learn other new words from the definition itself.
I started doing this after a teacher recommended it, and it changed the way I learned new words. At first, I thought, oh no, I'll never understand these definitions. But after a while, it became easier, and I could really feel my vocabulary expanding.
So next time you're curious about a word, try looking it up in an English dictionary. It's a small change that can make a big difference.
The third strategy is to practice thinking in sentences, not just single words. This is such an important step because, after all, we don't speak in just words, we speak in sentences.
That's so true. A good way to start is by describing your day in English. For example, when you're making breakfast, you can think, I am making toast, or I am pouring a cup of coffee.
Or when you're on your way to work or school, you could think, I'm walking to the bus stop, or it's a sunny day today. Simple sentences like these help your brain get used to forming thoughts in English.
I used to do this every morning. I'd think to myself, I am brushing my teeth, I'm getting dressed, and so on. It felt funny at first, but after a while it became natural.
And as you get more comfortable, you can make the sentences a little more complex. For example, instead of just saying it's sunny, you could think, it's sunny, so I'll take a walk during my lunch break.
It's all about taking small steps and building up. The more you practice, the easier it gets.
Our fourth tip is one of my favorites. Immerse yourself in English. And no, that doesn't mean you have to travel to an English-speaking country.
That's right. You can create an English environment wherever you are. For example, listen to English podcasts, watch English shows, or even read short articles in English every day.
It's like training your ears to get used to the rhythm and sounds of the language. The more you listen, the more your brain starts to pick up the patterns.
I remember making a playlist of English songs and listening to them on my way to work. I'd try to understand the lyrics without looking them up. It was like a little challenge for myself.
That's a great idea. And if you enjoy watching TV shows, try watching with English subtitles instead of subtitles in your language. It's a fantastic way to learn new words and phrases.
Immersing yourself in English content makes it feel like a natural part of your daily life, which is exactly what you want when you're trying to think in English.
Next up is thinking out loud. This might sound a little strange, but it's a powerful technique.
It sure is. Basically, when you're alone, try speaking your thoughts out loud in English. Describe what you're doing, how you're feeling, or what's on your mind.
For example, if you're cooking, you could say, I'm cutting the vegetables now. Next, I'll add some spices. It might feel a bit silly at first, but it helps connect your thoughts to the English words.
I do this when I'm driving. I'll just talk to myself about my day like, okay, after work I need to stop by the grocery store. It's a great way to practice forming sentences on the spot.
And the best part is, there's no pressure. It's just you and your thoughts, so you can relax and practice without worrying about mistakes.
Exactly. It's like a mini speaking exercise you can do anytime, anywhere.
Strategy number 6 is to label things around you. This is especially helpful if you're a visual learner.
Yes, it's a simple but effective trick. For example, you can put labels on items around your house, like mirror on the mirror, fridge on the refrigerator, and so on.
That way, every time you see the object, you'll think of the English word without needing to translate it in your mind.
I did this when I was learning, and my room was covered in sticky notes. But it really helped me remember the words without having to think twice.
It's also a great way to build your vocabulary. And as you get more advanced, you can start using phrases instead of just single words, like, I use this mirror every morning.
It's a fun and interactive way to immerse yourself in the language right at home.
Now, let's talk about some common challenges you might face when trying to think in English.
Yes, like the habit of translating everything back into your native language. I struggled with that for a long time, and it slowed me down a lot.
Me too. But remember, it's totally normal, especially in the beginning. One tip is to try focusing on the message you want to express instead of the exact translation.
And don't be too hard on yourself if you find it challenging. Language learning is a journey, not a race. Celebrate your small wins, like successfully thinking a sentence in English or understanding a new word without translating it.
It's also important to not fear mistakes. Mistakes are how we learn, and they're a part of the process. I made so many mistakes along the way, but each one taught me something new.
Exactly, so if you find yourself struggling, just remember that every little bit of practice helps. Keep at it and you'll see progress over time.
Let's quickly recap what we've talked about today. We covered 6 strategies for thinking in English. Starting with simple vocabulary, using an English dictionary, thinking in sentences, immersing yourself in English, thinking aloud, and labeling things around you.
These are all practical steps that you can start trying right away. Remember, the key is to be consistent. Even small daily habits can make a big difference over time.
And don't forget, it's okay to take your time and make mistakes along the way. Thinking in English is like building a new muscle. It takes practice and patience.
We believe in you, and we're so excited to hear how these tips work for you.
Thank you all for joining us today on the Easy Chat English podcast. We hope these tips help you on your journey to thinking in English.
And if you try out any of these strategies, let us know how it goes. You can reach out to us on our social media or leave a comment below.
And don't forget to tune in next time where we'll be talking about time management. It's going to be a good one.
Until then, keep practicing and remember, you're doing great. Bye for now.
Bye, everyone. Happy learning.